Aloha, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of this psychedelic birth interview series. I am so excited today to be bringing you Meg Newman as our guest. I just want to read you a little bit of a bio about Meg. Meg is a mother, a birth keeper, and a circle facilitator based in Byron Bay, Australia. She birthed her daughter in power, embracing the path of free birth and sovereign motherhood. Passionate about physiological birth and the innate wisdom of women, Meg supports others through wild pregnancy, free birth, and the reclamation of birth as a sacred rite of passage. Welcome, Meg. I'm so grateful to have you here today.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm excited.
So I just want to start off by sharing how I even came across you and what made me want to reach out to you. I believe I found you through the Free Birth Society podcast. And when I looked at your profile, there's this one picture that really stands out to me. You have your bare belly just right there. I think you might be in like a bathing suit or something, and you're like kind of leaning back, and you just are glowing like the most beautiful pregnant goddess that ever was. And that picture was so magnetic and just like spoke to me about some of my own deep held dreams and
Mm,
what's possible. I love seeing women moving through these really powerful initiations that we move through and moving through them in power and
mm,
support and thriving through it because the mainstream narrative around pregnancy and birth is that it's terrible pretty much. For good reason. There's so many very variables that go into play as to why women suffer. And a big reason why I started this series is because I really want to highlight another way. And
mm,
for me personally, I have been bringing back the ancient tradition of working shamanically with your bleeds, which is really just innately in all women. Menstruation is shamanic in nature all by itself. And the thing that has really lit up for me on my path is the psychedelic nature of women and these like rites of passage that we go through and these initiations. And
mhm,
I know the birth portal is possibly the biggest one aside from menopause. And I also know that women have truly magical psychedelic experiences while they're moving through labor and birth. And so
mm,
I really brought this together to highlight what women are experiencing inside of the birth portal. So I would love to
mm.
ask you, Meg, what's it like inside the birth portal?
Oh my goodness. It's actually hard to put words to because yeah, like you said, it's very psychedelic in nature. But I would say it's very altered. Like that is what surprised me probably the most was just like how altered I actually was and felt. And
Mm.
yeah, I actually have chills just thinking about it. It's yeah, something I say to women leading up to birth is like the woman that is sitting in front of me right now is not the woman that's going to be birthing. Like it is just, yeah, like your higher self, everything just um I think as well, all the birthing hormones, the beta endorphins, all those beautiful, yeah, natural opiates that come online just, yeah, really have the ability to transport you to another place. Yeah, completely.
Definitely.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Mm,
it feels like what happens from what I can see, and I haven't birthed myself yet, is that this archetype of the true primal divine feminine
mm,
comes fully into your body, and that's who brings the soul through.
yes, yes. Yeah, totally. Warrior woman.
Yeah. And so what a wild experience too, especially for,
Mhm.
I think one of the reasons why this free birth movement is so powerful right now,
Mm.
especially in 2025, is because we are we are a race of humans that have been disconnected from our power for a really long time. And I
Mm.
think, especially for women, we have been, there's all kinds of just terrible things that have happened to the feminine over, thousands of years. And
Mm.
that primal divine feminine essence has been um, like punished out of us. So it feels like probably one of the most shocking things that a woman can experience is having that embodiment, having the
Mm.
experience of embodying that raw power that
Mhm.
humanity as a whole is so like ostracized from, you know?
Mhm. Yes, completely. Yeah, it's full power. And I think it was designed that way, like for us to enter motherhood, or become a mother again and touch into our power in that way is just, yeah, it's everything.
Yeah. And it
Mm.
reminds me of something that Emily from Free Birth Society, um, she shared when I interviewed her for my summit a few years ago, that she was talking about kind of like taking away the like the fantasy of birth and the like insistence on it being a certain way, and how, how whatever birth experience you have is what you need to turn you into the woman that you need to be in order to be able to raise that child.
Mhm.
So there's really powerful lessons and initiations inside of whatever your unique birth experience is that are purposely there to make sure that
Mhm.
you're going to be able to be a good mom to that specific soul. Would you agree?
Yes, yes, completely. Yeah,
So
definitely.
when was your birth? You've only had one baby, right?
Yes, yeah, my daughter's nearly a year and a half. So, yeah, nearly a year and a half ago.
And how long before your pregnancy or birth did you become aware of the option of a wild pregnancy and a free birth?
So I probably became aware of that almost 2 years prior, or a year and a bit prior. I was definitely operating from a completely different paradigm. Like I grew up with all of the cultural conditioning of, you give birth in the hospital and that is the way, that is the only way. And yeah, it was when I found my calling in birth work. I dove straight into all things birth. I was studying to become a doula, and that was kind of when the penny started to drop. I started to attend births within the system and just
Mm.
started seeing firsthand what was going on, and basically, yeah, the subtle and not so subtle sabotage of birth and mistreatment of mothers and babies. And I was like, it can't be like this. Like I can't be a part of this. I can't keep showing up to this. And then
Mm.
it was kind of little bit by little bit, things just started dropping in. And yeah, discovering the Free Birth Society podcast was a big piece of my awakening, as
Mm.
to, yeah, seeing birth for what it can truly be. But yeah, just through listening to the stories of all the women on that podcast, I think at first when I found it, like, I think a lot of women, you're kind of taken back by it and it sounds quite out there and quite extreme. And you're like,
Totally.
wow, these women are crazy, but I love it. Like it fully resonated as truth. Like it was, I just found myself keep going back and listening to more and more. And so yeah, I was still studying, and we were calling in our student births. And I that was when I came across a beautiful woman, who's now a dear friend of mine, and I, yes, supported her pregnancy and her birth, and she she was having a sovereign birth.
Mm.
And yeah, we just clicked, and I got to yeah, walk with her and see, um, in such a contrast to like what I was also seeing with these women walking the path within the system. And yeah, I was forever changed after witnessing her birth. It was just the most incredibly peaceful, beautiful, sacred. Like, I mean, she really worked for it. It was a hard birth for her. But it was like there still was no fear in the space. It was just,
Good.
her partner and her dog right there. And she had a beautiful birth keeper. And we all just held her like as she walked through that fire and brought her baby through. And from that moment on, I was like, okay, like that's definitely what I'm doing. And yeah, but it still took stripping back many, many layers. And then, yeah, even in pregnancy, kind of, although I was super strong in my knowing of what I wanted, I still had to kind of reckon with like, oh, but what if, and, should I have a medical midwife on call just in case, and all these things that, yeah, that you come up against through that journey. But yeah, so yeah, it was a gradual process over a couple of years before I
Mm.
felt pregnant.
That's beautiful that
Mm.
you got to witness it and
Oh my
experience the
goodness.
magic of
Yes.
it. I was fortunate to be present for the birth of my sister's first baby,
Mm.
and she was very fortunate to have the universe bring her a traditional midwife who
Mm.
knew that she just needed to sit there and hold space. And I remember the energy in the room and
Mm.
also the energy that that woman held. It's like she felt like Mother Earth herself,
Mm. I
just
love
like
that.
grounding the deep trust,
Mm.
knowing and power in the space. And it was incredible. I don't think I've ever felt that type of energy outside of that room before. So I can imagine what that was like to be
Mm.
there with that woman. I feel like it's life-changing. It's so powerful when you witness something like that.
Totally. I actually wish that like every woman got to experience that before they birthed, to really see it and have yeah, that knowing that, yeah, it's like that recognition of like, if she can do it, of course I can do it too. So yeah.
Definitely. Because that's how we learn. We
Mm.
don't learn by books or being taught something. We learn by watching
Mm.
someone else do it. And
Hmm.
that's what communicates to our bodies and our minds that it's possible for us too. So thank you. I can already see that, one of the pieces of advice that I'm getting out of just the couple minutes we've been talking for any women that are watching this that are interested in walking this path of free, wild pregnancy and free birth
Mm.
to attend a birth.
Mm.
It sounds like that's a really good
Mm.
way to introduce a woman into this is to
Mm.
be there for somebody else's birth. Would you agree?
Totally. I mean, I feel like it was the biggest blessing ever that calling. I feel like it was kind of guided by my daughter in spirit, just my calling to birth work and actually delving in to all things pregnancy and birth before I was actually there, because I feel like so many women land in pregnancy without ever having really thought about how they would navigate that, or even just learning about the landscape of pregnancy and birth, and what the options are and what those options entail. So, oh my goodness, yes, if you have the honor of being invited to a birth, definitely, yeah,
Mm.
yeah,
Yeah,
such a
that's
blessing.
beautiful. Um, there's so many different avenues that I could go, but I really want to get into your birth experience. So tell me some of what you did to prepare yourself,
Mm.
aside from
Probably.
all the like inner work and like attending other births.
Mm.
Like,
Mm.
what was your experience like through your pregnancy and
Mm.
preparing for the birth and
Mm.
postpartum? What did that look like for you?
I would definitely say listening to the other women's stories, birthing in power. Yeah. Emily has a beautiful quote that's like, if you want to I'm going to butcher this, but it's something to do with, if you want to know the truth about birth, like listen to the women stories that are birthing alone, that are birthing, without interference and intervention. And that is birth. And yeah,
Mm,
I found that just so powerful in kind of as well just expanding my awareness of all of the different variations of how birth can look and feel, and yeah, the variations of what is normal. And it's so wide, it's so vast. So yeah, I think that really helped me to come into trust of my own body and the timing, and that it's okay if birth slows down. It's okay if it goes for days and days, and
mm,
um, yeah, so I really think story medicine is everything.
mm,
Um, and what else to prepare? I actually did work with a beautiful birth keeper in our area. She really held that wise woman kind of archetype support for me. Because yeah, obviously wasn't going to be going in and seeing a midwife or having those appointments. So yeah, just having someone that comes over and gives you a foot bath, and
mm,
creates that intentional space to talk about the birth. And my partner would sit in sometimes and she'd do body work and, bring baked goods and flowers. And it was just so beautiful to feel, yeah, that honoring as a pregnant woman, like someone that's just going to come and treat you like the goddess that you are and witness you and just kind of be, yeah, a sounding board for all the different things that come up. Like I just remember all the funny things, the random fears and the what ifs, all the things that come up, yeah, that are unique to pregnancy. So yeah,
mm.
it was so beautiful to have, yeah, my birth keeper. What else to prepare? I feel like I didn't feel to read any books while I was actually pregnant. I just wanted to, yeah, I don't know, just be in nature, and yeah, connect to Bub. I felt like every time I got still was when I could really hear them communicating, and like I
Mm,
would have, fears or different things coming up. I entertained the idea of having a private midwife at one point because I was in this real like, what if, what's the most responsible thing to do? And every
mhm,
time I would just sit with it, it would just be like, no, like just get out of the way, mum. Like I have a plan. You just need to step
mhm,
aside. And yeah, I would really get this strong sense of, um, yeah, I just need to sit back and let them do their thing. And yeah,
mm,
I'd be sort of reassured that yeah, being at home with my partner was just the safest place that I could be to meet the experience and whatever ever arose. So
mm.
yeah, pregnancy was so special. So special.
You had a good pregnancy.
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah. It was, I had all of the nausea and the food aversions and the tiredness and all of that at the beginning, and kind of would crop up throughout the whole journey actually. But I was someone that just always wanted to be pregnant. So I was like, even those little things, I was like, it means I'm pregnant. Like, yeah, this is such a blessing. Thank you. So yeah. Yeah, it's a
Yeah,
very magical time sharing your body with another being.
definitely. Yeah. And
Mm,
I love what you are saying about the soul having a plan too, because what I'm
mm,
getting out of this is that really it's a reclamation and a reclaiming of women to know their power and their ability to trust beyond
mm,
measure, because it's ultimately it sounds like that's really what the magic is. It's the
mm,
energy that the women are holding,
mm,
and it feels like the women specifically are the sacred keepers of
mm,
the birth portal. And like the best thing for any woman who's pregnant or wanting to have a baby is to get around other powerful women who have walked the path before you, who you can feel empowered by, right?
mm. Yes, I love that. The women are the sacred guardians of that portal. Oh, yeah, it's very
Yeah.
true.
it just feels like this is such a like a like the most sacred thing to our species. It like bringing in new souls to come into the body and be on earth with us. And like the women know the way. The women are the ones that hold the codes. And it really feels to me like it's just a matter of helping each one of us remember that our bodies
Mm,
already know that we don't have to
completely.
pick it apart and like, micromanage it. It's so much more of a deconditioning of like
Mm,
all the ways that we think we need to control things
mhm,
and like really get grounded in your ability to just be, be with yourself, be with your body, be still, trust,
mhm,
you know.
mhm. Yes, the trust piece was so big for me, just like continually leaning into that and just
Mm.
surrendering and letting go and being like, wow, there's so much more at play here that I can't even see or conceive of. And I've really, really felt that support in pregnancy of the unseen and something bigger than myself. And yeah, yeah.
I'm so grateful to hear that.
Mm.
And so let's just go ahead and get right into the birth. However much you want to share, I want to hear everything that you want to share about the actual birth. How did it go? When did it start? What were you doing? Where were you? Who was with you?
Yes,
Give me the
yeah.
details.
Yes. Yeah. So I was approaching 40 weeks. And it's funny because I had this thing in my mind where I was like, I'm going to probably be one of those women that go to like 43 weeks. So I kind of just had had this story that I still had like another few weeks to go, and I was just cruising along. And then yeah, it was kind of just before 40 weeks. So I was like, actually though, I think I should just probably, just to be safe, like fully prepare. Let's like, my partner and I, like, we're getting off our phones. We're gonna actually like retreat completely from the world and just really, hone in on this, sacred birth field that we were creating, which we'd been doing all pregnancy. But it just felt like we both, I think, came home one day and we're like, today's the day. We need to delete Instagram. We need to just text our friends and family that they won't be hearing from us until after the birth. But I wanted to pace myself and be mentally prepared to go on and on. So I was still like, okay, we probably got a while. But yeah, all in the name of dropping into that yeah, really sacred connected energy to prepare for the birth. My partner and I, Ben, decided to do just a silent day at home where we just turned off our phones and meditated and did yoga and walked around the garden and just like, oh, we journaled, I think. And yeah, we're just reflecting on, yeah, the era that was coming to an end. And then it was that next morning at first light that I was woken up by, it was the wildest thing, this white light, like the brightest white light, just like flashing into my vision. And I was like so startled awake, like my heart was racing. I was like jolted awake. And it was in that moment that I was woken up by that I actually felt this sensation that was like, it was different to the sensations that I'd been feeling leading up to that, like all the tightenings and things that had been going on for the last few months. It was just like this deep kind of, yeah, periody pain. So I was like,
Mm.
whoa, that was wild. And yeah, got up and I noticed I'd lost a little bit of my mucus plug, and I was still very much like, I didn't want to get excited or anything because I sort of was thinking that, okay, yeah, like it's gonna, still probably be days. So my partner and I got up and the farmers market was on, which we always go to. So we went there and did our shopping. I remember just being like so spaced out though. Like at the market, people were talking to me, like asking me when I was gonna give birth. And I'd be like, I think I'm in labor now. Like I remember saying to my partner, I'm like, I'm only like 50% here. Like part of me is not here. It's just like so wild being in this really busy, stimulating environment because I'm just like so altered. And then I had a chiropractor's appointment, which I'd been going to all through pregnancy, this beautiful woman, and I was getting the sensations quite rhythmically, like even when I was in her office. And she was doing some beautiful hip squeezes on me while I was getting the the contraction, and I was like, oh my goodness, this feels amazing. And she's like, is anyone on your birth team, like, do they know how to do these? I was like, oh no, I don't think I want any of that. She's like, trust me. Like, she puts my phone up and she goes, Ben, this is how we do a hip squeeze. And she like does a little demo video and yeah, sends me home. And yeah, we get back and it is just like such a beautiful day. Like, it is, we live in this beautiful sanctuary with like, rainforest all around us. And there was like just this magical sunshine coming through the leaves and everything was glowing. Like, it was so beautiful. It was definitely like I was feeling high. Yeah, but at this point I was still like, oh, I don't really know if this is really happening. Even though I was getting these tightenings like every couple of minutes. Like, they were so mild. I was still going about my day doing things, but they were definitely still coming. So yeah, I think it was around lunchtime when I started to, yeah, admit to myself that, okay, yeah, something's happening. Because I was having to lean over the bench and I was making food, but I'd have to like stop every time one would come now. Um, and so yeah, just continued pottering and made some beautiful labor aid, and my partner put on a beautiful slow cooked like stew for us. And but it was funny because he's like, this is going to be ready in a few hours, and I was like, I don't think I'm going to be eating in a few hours. But I did at that point try. I had some leftovers. I had a big curry because I was like, okay, we got to fuel up because I might not feel like eating in a little while. Um, and then it was about 3 in the afternoon when my partner and I decided to go down. There's a little waterfall on our property. And I was like, we need to do one last swim, like one last cleansing swim before the birth. So walked down there together and it was just, yeah, like I said, the most magical day outside. And I was like stopping and leaning on the trees and just like connecting to the earth and just like in my bliss. Like, it was so magic. And my partner was like following me through the garden, taking some photos. And he was just like, you look so beautiful right now. Like, you are just glowing. And I was just feeling so loved up. And it was, yeah, it was so beautiful. So we got to the waterfall and we were like having a little moment together, kind of just, yeah, kissing and cuddling and kind of just, yeah, realizing that this was our last moments together before our baby came. And it was actually standing up under the waterfall that I felt during the end of a sensation, this popping hot, like water balloon feeling inside of me, and my water's released right there, just standing in the waterfall with my partner. And we were like, oh my goodness, of course, this is just, yeah, such a special way to start our birth. And yeah, I was just honestly on such a high, like giggling and just like laughing, just having, yeah, so much fun. So then we walked back through the garden and was picking like some rosemary for the placenta and flowers and things for the altar, and came in and finished kind of, I think my partner kept kind of setting up the birth space a little bit, had the pool ready, and I wanted to like do a little ritual and just sage us and sage the space and just like call in all of that unseen support, because yeah, I could really feel that, yeah, the portal was opening up. And honestly, from there I feel like is when it really kicked off. Like, my waters had released and the sensations got a lot stronger after that. And I also just remember that was kind of the point that I just remember, it all kind of gets a little bit like blurry and time just kind of, yeah, disappears from that point, because I think that's when I started to feel like I was really entering that altered state. So yeah, I remember sending my partner out to the lounge room and just being like, you just be out there, I'll be in the bedroom. And that's kind of where I stayed. And was leaning over this big exercise ball, had like a little mattress on the ground. And yeah, I
Mm.
just remember shutting my eyes and just going in. And I had the affirmation come to me at the very, very beginning, which was just yes. And I just said that over and over and over again, was sounding and just like yes, yes, with every sensation that came. And as they built up in strength, I just remember that feeling so good to say. It was just letting my body know that, like, yes, we want this, we're welcoming this. And yeah, I remember just really having that intention of welcoming and thanking the sensations, no matter how strong they got. So yeah, I was just over my ball on the ground and swaying and moving and kind of going between that little station and the toilet to sit on the toilet and labor. And it was when I remember opening my eyes after I'd been on the floor for probably hours and it had gotten dark and this almost full moon was like fully just like right in this spot out the window, just shining onto me. And I hadn't even noticed it getting dark. I hadn't noticed anything. I was just like in this zone. But yeah, remember getting up to walk to the bathroom and just feeling like, whoa, I am like kind of felt like being on mushrooms, honestly. Like it was so, yeah, so altered. So yeah, I kind of just went between yeah, the toilet and the floor, making all the sounds, just letting myself. I loved the sounding. Like I would just imagine it like channeling down and opening me and expanding me and just like it was so psychedelic. I just have no other word for it. Like I was almost like seeing the energy in my mind, like moving and just with the sound. It was so incredible. Um, but it just really surprised me, the level of sensitivity that I was feeling. Like I had a birth playlist ready, I had candles ready. My partner came in at one point and he started to light the candles and I was just like, no, 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 like you are just making a racket. Like he was probably just tinkering, doing the tiniest little thing. But to me, it just was like, yeah, almost like what you were describing before, where you go into this primal state where like you're almost, I don't know, like a wild animal or something. And any little thing, you're just like, rah, like, no. So
Mm.
there's a funny, like a famous one-liner from my birth that we still laugh about where he came down and like sat beside me at that point and started to, I think I'd told him about um like toning and how, you can make the sounds with me and that can help with, the pain. And he sat down and was like, just thought he would try to do that. And I was like, silence from you. And like, just no, definitely not. Wasn't having that. And yeah, it just really felt like when it was silent and I was undisturbed and just could be left alone to be inward and in my zone, the the sensations were totally manageable. Like they were so strong, but I was
Mm.
like, yeah, like I'm doing this. And it was like just you're in it and making the sounds. But then the tiniest little noise of like a door creaking or a little like, a match being lit, it was like it would bring me right up out of
Mm.
that state. And then I would be like almost like back, not in my normal state, but like just fully conscious and aware again. And I could feel it actually as
Mm.
painful. Whereas, yeah, when I was in it, I remember thinking, okay, to Ben, this probably looks like I'm dying or like really struggling right now, but I'm actually good. And like a few times he'd be like, oh, and I'd be like, I'm good, like I'm great. Just like leave me be. So he actually spent most of the labor just out in the lounge room, just meditating. I loved it. He kept all the lights off in the house, which I didn't ask him to do, but I was just like, thank you. And I remember one point on one of my like journeys to the toilet to sit, just yelling out to him, just being like, thank you, you're holding space perfectly. Like just stay there, like it's perfect. And yeah, the whole idea of being on the toilet was that it made it so much more intense. Like, I don't know, the position of like just being upright like that, yeah, it was it was a lot, but I
Mm,
really had this intention that I would like throw myself into it, like just go all in, like meet the sensation, like go towards the discomfort. Um, and yeah, really just not try to be comfortable, not try to, you know, yeah, not, I don't know, it's hard to explain, but yeah, just not resisting in any way. So I was like really wanting to welcome and be with that intensity.
mm,
Um, and we had the pool set up. So I did get in the pool at some point kind of earlier in the night, and it was so beautiful and so hot and just like, oh, the most beautiful relief. Like I just remember I was like, this is so good. But I did notice, I think a little while after being in there, it just felt like it was kind of slowing things down a little bit. So I was like, okay,
mm,
in line with my wanting to walk through the fire, not around it, I'm going to get back out and
mm,
continue back on the floor. And yeah, somewhere in the night, in the early hours, I started getting like the sensations shifted from what they were to these more like downward moving, like just I could feel, yeah, I guess I could feel Bob starting to make their descent. And I would
mm,
kind of at the end of a sensation like really have this like involuntary like kind of push that would happen.
mm.
And yeah, that went on for hours. So it was just, yeah, sporadically. And I remember feeling like the more that I would relax into the sensations, which was actually so hard because like there's all this tightening happening. So it's almost like it's easier to go with that and kind of tighten up. But I was just over and over again, yeah, just trying to soften that. And I remember actually even shaking my belly like through the sensations, to try and just like help me find the place where I needed to soften and release. Um, and every time I would soften and release at that point, that's when I'd get that downward, intense, intense downward sensation. It was, yeah, it's wild. It's hard to
Doing great
explain, but
explaining it.
yeah,
We're talking
but
about multi-dimensional stuff
uh,
here. So like there's not words for all of it. You're doing
it's
great.
there's not
This
words,
is
I know, and like
fabulous.
also like pain and these different words. It's like they almost don't even do it justice
I know.
because yeah, there's also just all these beautiful hormones and everything going on. Like I just remember feeling it was actually so blissful, even
Mm,
whilst experiencing this intensity. It just was like, um, yeah, it was beautiful. I don't know how else to say, but I was actually just loving it. And yeah, at no point was there like any fear or like it was amazing how much my normal mind just went offline. Like I left. Like it was
great.
not Meg, like, being heady or wondering, yeah, where I was at or anything. It was just like one
Mm,
with the sensations, like yeah, traveling kind of off in this other realm, but also very much like in my body and grounded and just like I was able to be like, can you bring me some water? Can you refill? I had a hot water bottle too that Ben kept like refilling and I'd tie it onto my back and just keep going because I did have some pain in the back. But anyway, it was really incredible. And then at some point I remember calling Ben in. And I think now in hindsight, I'm like, all right, that must have been transition because I had the famous urge to poo come over me. And I was then after that, like, I'm just gonna have a lay down. And then that was like the first time I'd done that in labor because it was so uncomfortable to lay there. And I was drifting off almost into these little like micro sleeps between
mm,
the sensations. And yeah, I was like, okay, just getting a little rest. That's nice. And then it was almost like when I came up from that, the it was like the first time I did kind of land back into like a bit more of my normal state where I was like, oh, hang on, like where like because I had just been going through the motions and just in it. And then I was like, oh, where do I want to be? Like do I want to be in the pool or like where? Like I was kind of a little bit disorientated for a moment. And I was like, maybe I'll check inside and see if I can feel anything. And then that was when I felt inside and I felt like the head right there. And I was still in disbelief. I was like, no, it could still be age. I was like, Ben, maybe you check. And he was like, that's definitely not there usually. I was like, is that always there? And anyway, so I was like, oh, amazing. We're actually probably pretty close. And even then it was funny. I just think the whole time I was trying to like what's the word? Just temper myself or like just try and not get too excited or get ahead of myself. So I was always just telling myself it could still be days, it could still be, because I really wanted to be prepared for the long game and if that was how my birth was to play out. So anyway, yeah, felt the head and Ben was like rushing to fill the pool up and get it all perfect and hot again because it had cooled right off by that point. And yeah, jumped in and that's when like the sensations were just like, yeah, back to back, like they'd ramped right back up again and were stronger than ever. And I had Ben in the back in the pool behind me and squeezing my hips with everyone. And and yeah, it was incredible. Just yeah, totally just let my body do its thing. I didn't feel any need to add any pushing or force or anything else like with the sensations. It was just the same as the whole labor. It's just trying to relax, just trying to soften. And yeah, I could just feel them coming down. And it's just, oh, a sensation like no other. You really just, yeah, can't believe the intensity of it. Um, and yeah, I just remember feeling and kind of just being like, okay, like I've still got a way to go. And I felt like I was being totally stretched, but there was only like, a tiny bit of her head just starting to crown. So I was like, all right, softening. I remember just like, yelling out all these mantras of like melting and, opening and yeah, softening all the things and kind of like visualizing almost like this flower blooming. That was like an image that was right there. And yeah, so my partner's behind me. At one point he had his like hand on the side of the pool and I like chomped down on his hand but he's like no not my hand and like gave me the hose and I was like perfect. So I was like biting the hose. It was so yeah, primal and yeah, just feeling like all this determination and strength, like everything, just like all my energy and everything, just yeah, being so focused on this, like yeah, on this moment and just getting the baby here. So yeah, it was probably went for about half an hour or 45. It wasn't a super long time. Thankfully, I feel very blessed for that. But but yeah, it was just the most intense and wild feeling ever, just feeling her head like stretching me and that ring of fire, which is like totally a ring of fire, just the burn. Um, and then, yeah, I just remember like feeling her little ears and I didn't know it was a girl yet, but then, yeah, the head coming fully out and announcing that, and then like an arm and another arm, and then feeling that little spiral that they do, and just like the rest just wiggled out on the next. I think it was like first contraction, the head, and then the next contraction, the whole body was out. And yeah, she just came up between my legs and brought her up and cuddled her. And that moment was like just so incredible because immediately all the pain just completely gone. And it was just us in this moment, my partner there, and this beautiful little human that had been inside me for the best part of 10 months. And it's just still like so unbelievable, like a baby's going to come out, but then when you actually see like a little face, like this perfect little face with little beautiful lips and like, and the little perfect hands and the little perfect feet, and you're just like, what? It's just incredible. So yeah, we just met our daughter, and it was funny because all pregnancy I was convinced for some reason that I was having a boy. And yeah, we checked after a little while and we're like, oh my goodness, got the surprise of our life that it was a little girl in there all along. And immediately was like, yes, it's Gaia. Because I'd had that name for years, like, you know, circling around, and immediately just saw her and was like, it's Gaia, of course. And yeah, she was just like pink, and there was just, yeah, she was beautiful and lively. Like she had a lot of like mucusy stuff that she was clearing. And she didn't cry right away, but she was like pink and yummy and perfect. And I was like, she's great. Like I had no worries about, yeah, her not, immediately breathing or anything. I really wanted to let her claim that in her own time and just hold that space for her to come through.
Mm.
Um, yeah, because it's so big, that whole journey for them. And yeah, obviously they're still connected to their cord, and I feel like it's this misconception that we hold that, you know, have to, immediately be gasping for air and all of that, that we rush that process so much by,
Mm.
immediately cutting the cord, which is their lifeline. And
Mhm.
I felt the cord, it was still pulsing, and she was just there, like opening her eyes, looking around, and just while she was like grunting and making these little noises to clear her, yeah, to clear her airways. And yeah, we just stayed in the pool and just kind of let her have that time, and was just
Mm.
instantly like, you know, so in awe and so in love. And yeah, it was just such an incredible moment. Soaking that in and being able to just be completely undisturbed
Mm.
in that moment was everything. And then, yeah, my partner kind of got out and started getting us like a towel and getting us ready to get out. I don't know how long I stayed in the pool, maybe like 20 minutes or half an hour or something, just hanging out. And then we got out, and the pool was kind of right beside the bed. So just jumped in bed, and it wasn't long after being in bed that I started to feel the sensations again starting up. So I was like, okay, that must mean the placenta's ready. So just jumped out, squatted
Mm.
over a bowl beside the bed. I had Gaia just like sort of trying to get her first latch, and I think she got on there pretty well. I remember thinking like, oh, she like knows how to do this, and she was sucking and she was like there. And
Mm.
yeah, the placenta just came out with ease. It was, yeah, it plopped out, and I was surprised there was really like very little blood, like a couple drops, but like the pool didn't get bloody. There was no, like, I was ready for like a big gush of blood and to, see that. But no,
Mm.
that didn't happen. It came out over the following days and weeks. But yeah, in the birth it wasn't, yeah, much of a thing. And then yeah, it was so simple. We just got in bed together and we're obviously on the biggest high, and yeah, just cuddled up and left her attached to her placenta. And yeah, I think I had some of the stew that my partner had made that day before. And I remember just everything I ate straight after birth. I was like, this is the best thing I've ever eaten. And like, this is the best drink I've ever had. And it was just like, yeah, all the oxytocin and yeah, everything just felt really heightened and alive. And yeah, it was so beautiful. So yeah, she was born at about, I think it was 4:12 in the morning. So kind of as we were snuggling into bed, the rainforest birds, started up, and the sun was just starting to, yeah, come through with the first light, which is like the time that I felt that first sensation was also at first light. So it was just like a perfect 24 hours of, yeah, just this beautiful, beautiful birth dance of my daughter coming through. But yeah, it was just, yeah, really beautiful and really simple, and just felt so incredible to just share that with my partner, because um yeah, it was just like, wow, we did that. Like, and oh, yeah, sorry, I was just getting a call, but yeah, incredible.
I just need to take a moment to
Oh, sorry. There we
just let your story land.
go. Hmm.
What a journey.
Yeah.
No words come close to it. I'm just in awe at how beautifully you and your partner, you created ceremony for yourselves. And
Mm.
like, I'm really seeing how huge of a difference it makes, like the intention,
Mm.
being intentional about how
Totally.
you're bringing them through, and like to like create ceremony, before you even get into the birth portal feels so appropriate. And like isn't that like the ultimate ceremony you're gonna go through? It's like bringing your baby's soul through.
Completely. Yes. Yes. It is just so sacred and so, yeah, like this direct connection with God. Like it is, yeah, the most sacred thing that we could possibly do or be a part of. Yeah. I can't
Well, the
believe.
labor was like it was like a day. It was like 24 hours.
Yeah. Yeah. And I would say sort of 12 hours of like sort of once my water's released and it was like on like that more intense
Mm.
active labor. But yeah.
And when the sensations became back to back, were you even able to relax when they were
Well,
like,
I remember being like squeezed like my partner, like getting him to like kind of help with that. I don't know, that counter pressure really helped for me. But yeah, it was hard to like relax, but it was, yeah, I don't know. It's because there's so much tightening and like, the muscles are fully contracting. So it's like you don't feel like you're fully relaxed, but there was definitely like a distinction between like bracing against and being like, oh, like, and tensing up with it, or like, just really like letting it come over you. And it was so much more powerful. Like I could feel the strength of the sensations would be increased to the degree that I could relax. So yeah, it was definitely like a constant work in surrendering to it. Yeah.
I think that's what forges you into such a powerful woman that is able to mother that child for years and years to come.
Totally,
But
yes.
makes you into the powerful mother that you need to be, right?
Yeah, yeah. The lessons and the insights that come through that journey and the birth process, I think definitely are, yeah, the little golden nuggets that you need to kind of, yeah, take with you and keep, yeah, keep honing those lessons for, yeah, the postpartum and the mothering for
So,
sure.
did you was it really just like your body pushing, or did you ever push with your body?
It was just my body.
You
I
just
didn't.
let your body push.
Yeah, I didn't do a single thing. I was all about the softening, like, and I think that's what helped. I didn't tear or anything at all. Like it was just, yeah, there was not not a single bit of that. And I think
Amazing.
that was part of the intention with not adding any force. I know some people just like get to that point and they're like, this needs to be over. But I think there is just a lot to be gained in letting the body just naturally, just slowly, slowly stretch and yeah, breathing into that. And yeah, because we are made to to stretch and come back
Mm.
and also tearing's not a problem either. Um, but yeah, yeah, didn't feel to add anything. It was definitely powerful enough on its own.
Mm. It sounds like
Mm.
your partner did a really beautiful job holding space for you while you traveled to the stars and back again.
Yeah, he did. He was amazing. And it was interesting because he was the one that sort of like through pregnancy, he was really wanting to have our birth keeper at the birth. And we had every intention of calling her in labor. Um, And it was kind of that sensitivity that I spoke about before, where, you know, any little bit of outside noise or disruption, like, just would take me out of that deep kind of meditative space that I was in. And that
Mm.
was the reason why I didn't end up wanting to call her when I was in labor, because I just was imagining even like her car coming up the driveway. I was like, I couldn't even, you know, fathom that like noise or that anything. So yeah, it was amazing because he was the one that really wanted her. But then when the birth actually was unfolding, he was just like, whoa, like this feels so right and normal. And I think yeah, that's something that sort of surprised him, was that like in the moment he just really didn't feel like he needed anyone else or anything else. And he was like,
Mm.
you were just doing it. Like no one could have really done anything anyway, you know?
Yeah,
So
he
yeah,
wasn't already deeply in love with you before. I'm sure he was even more in love
oh,
with you after
it was
seeing
the most
you
amazing
powerfully
thing
birth
seeing
your
him.
baby.
Yeah, yes. Yeah, that was like
Gosh.
my favorite. One of my favorite things was just like him straight after the birth, like just being, you're the most incredible woman in the world. And like for days after, he'd just be bringing me food going, you're incredible. Like he was just like moved by yeah, just seeing what women go through, and the strength, yeah, and the bravery and just all the, you know, courage and everything it takes to just meet that experience.
Man, I, I am in awe. I feel like a little kid with my eyes wide, just absorbing the entire story. It's so
Oh,
amazing to receive your story. Thank you so much for sharing this. It's just phenomenal being able to see women like you who are reclaiming the most sacred initiation for women and for humanity as a whole. I'm so inspired and so grateful to have you here today and to know that you exist and to be witness to your sacred birth. And your daughter must be such an incredible soul to have chosen to come through parents like you and have such a beautiful birth. I'm fortunate to have been free birthed as well, but it was not intentional.
oh, wow.
But my mom did get to have me by herself, although she didn't mean to. It just happened that way, and I didn't understand the importance of that accidental free birth until I started learning about free birth, and I was just like,
Oh,
"Thank you, God. Thank you for seemingly
goodness.
nobody being there to be with her, and it just being me and my mother."
Oh, that's incredible. That's so incredible. Yes, that was like what your soul was asking for, and you just came on through.
Definitely. I so wish she was still here so that I could share my birth story. But one of these days, I'm really feeling like I'm gonna like do a deep meditation and just connect in with my mother's soul and write my birth story that she didn't get to write.
Yes, yes.
The world can hear it because they're so empowering. I was actually meant to be, their original intention was to birth me in the hot ponds on the big island of Hawaii.
My
And
goodness.
I didn't end up getting birthed in the hot ponds. It just didn't happen, but I was still born there in the jungles of the big island of Hawaii, not too far from the volcano. So I feel like I have this like fire volcano energy because I came in over there. And
Yes.
it's so beautiful seeing where we choose to come in and what a privilege it is to be able to have a birth like this that is the way that it was always intended to be.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm I know that this is what ultimately heals our species. It's women birthing in power again, because it's how we bring new souls in that like ultimately affects the way that they grow and the types of souls that are coming in, like the entrance sets up the rest of your life, basically. So for
100%.
most people most babies to still be coming in hospitals being completely traumatized, like we're setting everyone up to just like live in trauma. And
Mm-hmm.
and I know that this is the beginning of a whole new era for humanity
Mm-hmm.
that's being ushered in through women like you and the other women who are choosing to birth in power, regardless of what the birth experience looks like. It's this reclamation of the sacred keepers of the birth portal and putting it back in the hands of women
Mm-hmm.
is possibly the most revolutionary thing going on the planet right now, and possibly the most important revolution going on the planet right now, as far as I'm concerned. And most of the population still has no idea that this kind of reality is possible or exists, or that women are doing this. And I just love being able to bring women like you here onto my platform to help spread this message and these incredibly empowering stories that I know go out and really affect the minds, hearts, and spirits of the women who find these videos. So thank you so much for contributing your absolutely exquisite birth story to this
Mm-hmm.
series. I'm so very grateful that you have taken the time to share your exquisite self and your birth story with us today.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I'm so grateful to women like you as well that are creating these platforms and spreading the good word about sovereign birth and yeah, birth in power because yeah, it really is just it's just the biggest thing. It's such a big deal how we come into this world and how we're also born as mothers. It affects everything.
Yeah, and that's something that doesn't get talked about enough. And I might have to do other interviews that talk about just the way that you're birthing yourself into a new woman. That's also
Mm-hmm.
something that is wildly not known. And so
Mhm.
many women go through this shock of not only like birthing a baby, but not knowing that they're birthing a new version of themselves too. And I know that there's so many women suffering through pregnancy and birth and postpartum because
Mhm.
we don't have access to the women who are holding the wisdom for these types of things.
Mm.
So
Mm.
I love that you are hosting birth circles. You're
Mhm.
actively doing that right now, right?
Yes, yeah,
Yeah. In
yeah,
Byron Bay.
yes, yeah. We have a
Beautiful.
beautiful community of women that are all on the path. Yeah.
Those circles must be so magical.
Yes, yeah, they
Gosh,
really are.
I'm
Yes,
gonna have to
it's
make sure that
amazing.
I have a birth circle when it's my time.
Yes.
There was something that I wanted to touch on a little bit because it correlates to the work that I do with bringing back this practice that I call shamanic menstruation. You know,
Mm.
I don't know who I heard it from, but I saw this quote not too long ago that said, "How you bleed is how you birth." When you were
Mm.
talking about how you were like moving through the sensations and holding them, and how when you would just dive deep into them, they were manageable. But once some type of distraction kind of like
Mm.
took your awareness outside of your body and into the outside
Mm.
world, it made the sensations more difficult.
Mhm.
And it reminds me of menstruation. This is one of the pieces that I teach on with women about how to use their pain
Mm.
to like have a completely transformational experience. Like I don't have pain when I bleed anymore because I've been on this path of womb shamanism for so long, but there were many, many years that I had debilitating pain. And once
Mm.
I finally got initiated onto this path of really working shamanically and ceremonially with my bleeds, what I discovered was when I had a lot of pain, if I could just lay down
Mm.
and completely relax my body and give all of my attention to the sensation, all of it, it transformed the sensation. And I learned that it was through the sensation of the pain and discomfort that I was learning how to work with consciously, that it was the strong sensation and my ability to dive straight into it that started opening up these mildly psychedelic shamanic realms, that I really started, like, I would have these like journeys through my consciousness when I
Mm.
could be completely present for my bleed. And when there was pain there, it's like the pain acted as a way to call all of me into the present. And it was through that and feeling the pain transform that like started these really beautiful journeys of consciousness that would send me into just bits for hours of bawling in complete bliss for what I was experiencing and the emotional journey I was going through and the healing that was taking place inside of me. And I, gosh, I probably went for about a decade of having these cathartic,
Mm.
powerful, emotional bleeds where I just, for like every bleed, I just was just bawling in pure bliss and gratitude for the experience that I was having. And the interesting thing is, at this point now, I realize that I refer to it as a certain period of atonement. That's what I call it. It's like we're so disconnected from our bodies. We're holding so much trauma and toxins, and when you start working ceremonially with your bleeds, there's this process of atonement that takes place that's just this cleansing and purging, that it's just so much of it comes out of your eyes through tears. And after so many years of healing and having these cathartic experiences, I stopped having pain.
Wow.
And I went through this process where I was like, it was almost like there was more magic when there was pain.
Mm.
And so eventually my bleeds stopped being so cathartic and emotional because I had reached a certain level of healing, so I didn't need it anymore. And there was this period of like having to get adjusted to them not being so emotional and moving and like just really peaceful and enjoyable. And there was a part of me that kind of missed the pain because of how much presence it would bring me into, and the journey that it would have me go on inside of myself. And I can see a direct correlation between labor and menstruation, that, you know, our bodies through our menstruating years, like that's what menstruation is it's preparing us for birth.
100%.
Everything
Yes.
about menstruation,
Mm.
when you can actually give it your full presence, is preparing you on every level of being to give birth.
Mm.
So I can totally see like how if the way that you bleed is the way that you birth. And I just love
Yes.
seeing this correlation between them because I know this
Mm.
energy. I haven't given birth yet. I I can't imagine the intensity of it, but I know the energy that you're talking about. I know the like feeling high and like not completely on earth, because that's how I feel when I bleed every month. And I think that
Mm.
that's how all women actually feel if they're present enough to like know what's going on. Like you're in an altered state of consciousness. just
Mm-hmm.
a mild form of the birth portal during
Yeah.
menstruation. So it's
Yes.
incredible to hear you describe
Oh.
it like that and to see how it correlates to my
Mm.
experience with menstruation. And it just lights me up having conversations like this. I feel like we're like bringing these ancient remembrance. We're bringing this ancient remembrance back, and these codes of power and wisdom that
Mm.
we have been suffering from not having and starving for so long. It's just so exciting to be
Mm.
alive on Earth right now.
Yes, I love so much hearing you talk about just like the gift that it actually is. And I so agree and believe that menstruation is our labor and birth preparation. And, there's all the cultural conditioning around menstruation that there also is around birth, like, around menstruation being a burden and, you know, just something to numb. And it's like, if that's how you're relating to it and moving through it every month leading up to when you fall pregnant, then of course, like, you're going to want to numb the birth process. You're going to want to disassociate and just kind of get it done so you can carry on, like, rather than, yeah, really diving into it and, yeah, extracting the medicine from it and from being in full presence with it and letting it transform you. And yeah,
It
yeah,
takes
there's
so
so
much
much there.
courage,
Mm,
so much courage to be able to go on that journey with yourself. And
mm,
I think that, through these conversations that I'm having with women like you, I really feel like anything that a woman can do to help her become more present way before, like, as far as like as much as she can do whatever types of practices and whatever she needs to help her really be able to come into her body and like learn how to be deeply present with herself and her body before she comes anywhere near the birth portal is probably going to help her a
mm,
lot once she gets inside of that space where she's really challenged to let her full power come online and be holding space for her body and
mm,
choosing to soften instead
mm.
of, tense around it. So
Mm.
anybody
Yes.
watching this, I highly recommend doing some meditation
Well,
and
totally
yoga
just
and
sourcing from
anything,
within. Yes. Yes.
anything you can do to prepare for this. It so much reminds me of preparing for like big plant medicine ceremonies, like to doing it
Yes.
the proper way. Like you're preparing for a long time beforehand,
Mm.
mentally, physically, spiritually. Like there
Mhm.
needs to be this whole intentional preparation before you even come to it in order for you to, have any chance of having a birth that is anywhere close to what you have had.
Mm. Mhm. Yes. Yeah. Yeah,
Um,
completely.
so I'm feeling like we're coming to the end of our discussion here, and this has been the highlight of my day. I cannot wait to share this and release it and to just make the ripple through the world that your story is going to make through this platform. Thank you so much for your time today. I would just love to at least let any women know who are anywhere near you
Mm.
how they could potentially get connected with you if they want to maybe come to one of your birth circles, or I don't know if you offer any other type of assistance for like pregnancy or birth, but if
Mhm.
for any women who are tuning into this who just want to be connected to you even through social media, how can people connect with you?
Yes. Yeah, I'd love to connect with any of the women that this resonates with. And the best place is probably Instagram. And it's just Meg Newton underscore.
Beautiful. And
Yes.
yeah, you're posting about your birth circles on there,
Yes.
so they
Yeah.
can probably
Yeah.
just
All the
find.
information's there. Yeah.
Beautiful. Ah,
Yes,
this has been
thank
such a
you.
joy. I'm so grateful for our time today.
So
Thank you so
beautiful.
much. And yeah, I hope you
Mhm.
I hope you just thrive through your motherhood. And if you choose to have another baby, I hope it's just another incredible experience that just blows your mind
Mhm.
again. And um, I just want to say thank you for empowering the women in your local community and leading by example. It's women just like you who are literally saving the fucking planet.
And you, I'm very inspired by all the work that you're doing, and yeah, so grateful for this honor, this opportunity.
Thank you so
Mhm.
much. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. There will be many more of these coming, so keep a lookout, and I will see you during the next one. Aloha.
Beautiful.